Canada's inflation rate jumped to 4% in August as economists warn the latest consumer price index report spells bad news for the Bank of Canada. Statistics Canada released its latest inflation reading on Tuesday, which shows the annual rate rose from 3.3% in July, marking the second consecutive month inflation has risen. Forecasters were widely anticipating inflation to come in hotter last month due to higher gasoline prices, but Tuesday's report was even more discouraging than many expected. Andrew Grantham, CIBC's Executive Director of Economics, said, "What is more concerning is that inflation accelerated more than expected and that we also saw some core measures of inflation that the Bank of Canada track accelerate as well. Core measures of inflation strip out volatility in prices and just play a significant role in how the Bank of Canada judges inflationary pressures." With the latest uptick in price growth, Grantham said inflation during the third quarter is now on track to come in higher than the Bank of Canada forecasted in July. The central bank is slated to make its next interest rate decision on October 25, a decision that economists say just got tougher. Earlier this month, the Bank of Canada decided to hold its key interest rate steady earlier this month as the economy slows. Recent data showed the economy shrank in the second quarter while the employment rate has trended higher. Statistics Canada released its latest job vacancies report Tuesday as well, which shows vacancies continue to rise. Now the central bank will have to weigh that data against higher inflation figures and decide which matters more. A silver lining to Tuesday's report is that grocery prices are rising more slowly, with prices up 6.9% from a year ago compared with a reading of 8.5% last month. Meanwhile, grocery prices fell by 0.4% between July and August. Higher grocery prices have been a major pain point for Canadian families, particularly those with low incomes, who spend a large share on their earnings on food. Industry Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne met with top executives of Canada's major grocery chains on Monday to discuss measures to stabilize prices. After the meeting, Champagne said the grocers agreed to work with the federal government, but few details were provided on how prices could be stabilized. On today's inflation numbers, this is what Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is saying.
Just inflation strikes again. Not only is inflation up, it is rising and rising faster. Inflation in Canada, after 8 years of Justin Trudeau, is not only high, but it is broad. It is across all different products and services. Whether you include or exclude food and gas, inflation is now double its target. 2 months ago, Chrystia Freeland declared victory against inflation and asked everyone to give her a pat on the back. Since that time, the inflation rate has risen 43%. It is interesting that the further and further we move away from COVID, the more and more inflation is rising, which continues to prove what I said all along, which is that COVID had nothing to do with inflation. It is entirely a made in Canada, made by a government-made inflation that is the result of deficits and taxes on Canadians. And it's no longer just me saying it. Everyone has slowly but grudgingly come on to my point of view. The Governor of the Bank of Canada has said that the deficits are driving inflation. The former Liberal Finance Minister, John Manley, says deficits are driving inflation. Even Chrystia Freeland said that deficits pour fuel on the inflationary fire right before she decided to pour $60 billion of that fuel on that fire. So this is more proof that Justin Trudeau is not worth the cost.